Hello, bright and shiny beacons of light. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, and I have next to me Jessica Lee, who is running all things chat room here. Should I angle this so that they're able to see you here tonight? Woohoo! Much more worth watching than me. So with that said, we are going to have fun tonight because I want to talk with you about the butterfly effect and about butterfly training school. And butterfly effect is not necessarily what you think it is. It's the idea that if a butterfly flaps its wings all the way over in Japan or Hawaii, it can affect the weather here, wherever here may be for you. In essence, what that means is tiny little differences in life can make a massive difference. So I wanted to do a little show and tell this evening because I'm an inline speed skater. I raced bicycles in Europe for a few years. I actually was so enamored with skating, though. I went to the Olympic Training Center for skating. I looked at moving to even going to school in Canada for skating because I just loved the flow of the sport, the gliding in, the leaning in. It just felt so good, so pure to me. And so I've been back in recent years on inline skates. Now, inline skates, we're going to do a little show and tell here. Here is my recent inline skates, although I must say I'm probably going to be switching soon because I have had a bear of a time getting this comfortable for me. I think it's the light. It is just in the sun, and so it's hard to see this. But you can get the basic idea here of an inline skate. Now, inline skates are incredibly adjustable. You can adjust whether, I still call it a blade because I first used to be on ice, whether the blade goes in more or goes out more, goes forward, goes back. There's so much you can adjust on this. And these in particular, the reason I'm having trouble is because they're also heat moldable, which is essential for my feet. But here's what happens. If you can see how the blade is centered on the boot, it's off to the inside. If I make a very, very slight tweak of the blade to the outside, it affects how I lean, it affects how I push, it affects whether I stay very balanced or look very rickety on my skates, even after all of the years of skating. What does this mean? It means that tiny little differences make a massive change. If I was to say, oh, I want to go out, I don't feel like I've got enough power on my inside, and I'm just going to shift this thing way over here, what's going to happen? Well, I'm going to end up probably with a knee injury, an ankle injury, and a back injury, all without falling, just by making a big shift. Instead, I need to make very tiny incremental shifts. One more story to illustrate the point. This is a typical roller skate, fast roller skate or inline speed skate wheel. It's a 100mm wheel. This is the wheel that I was training on for many, many years before I very, very gradually went up to this wheel right here. Looks just a little bit bigger, but can make a huge, huge difference in my performance. And now, starting this week, and I actually have butterflies about it, I've waited 3 years to go to this frisbee of a wheel right here. This is my new wheel. This is my older wheel. This has been my original wheel. Why am I showing you all of these wheels? Because it is often best to go very, very incrementally, make a tiny little change, see how it feels. Is it good? Is it not good? Back off. Do I go forward? Make another tiny little change. Did it work? Did it not work? Do I back off or do I go forward? These little changes make all the difference in the world. So what does this mean? Well, for one thing, even though I love people like Tony Robbins, Tony talks about making massive change and massive improvement. And to me, massive change, if not taken slowly, can mean massive chaos. That's actually what we're experiencing in the world around us right now. We are in the midst of, if we can put aside the fact that this is horrific on an individual level from an income point of view, from a stability point of view, from a housing point of view, from a freedom point of view, and from a suffering point of view. And so I'm not taking away from this. But globally, we are undergoing a massive shift, a positive shift. People are coming together. People are collaborating. Scientists are getting together. There are a lot of positives that are coming out of this. Heck, I heard that there's going to be a massive group meditation later this week as well. We are all coming together as one. But it feels incredibly uncomfortable. And I prefer, this is me, smaller changes that we can then anchor in rather than trying to do everything overnight. So where do we begin with this? How do we start making these changes? I say take one tool or one area of your life. One of the biggest challenges with self-help is you go from watching our show to you watch another show, you watch a third show, you sign up for our boot camp, you sign up for somebody else's whatever, you sign up for our mini masterclass, and you can get overwhelmed. Instead, if we just take one tool, just one, and use it to completion, we can make really solid gains. Or like we have a mini masterclass this week, we're going to do our best not to overwhelm you, but to put some basic structure in place, to give you some focus, and then take it one important piece at a time. Napoleon Hill, in his book, Think and Grow Rich, shares the story about a man who bought a gold mine. And I think he dug and dug for something like 7 years. Maybe it was less. But he just kept digging, and goes, I give up. There's no gold in this mine. And he sold the mine for a fraction of what he paid for it. The next guy who comes along digs, and like on the first day, strikes gold. What happened? That first miner gave up too soon. My guess is he was trying actually too hard, and it wasn't sustainable. He couldn't hold on to that pace and gave up right before the finish line. Today, I climbed a very small mountain, about 9,000 feet. Sounds big, but we start here in town around 6,500 feet. So it's a decent little hill. That's actually pretty special of a hill. I kept on going up where I couldn't see exactly where I was going, kind of in the woods, even though I'm following a trail. And I could have turned around and said, I give up, and just headed back. And instead, what I said is, let's stop, let's pause, and then let's see how slowly and easily we can go up the next little bit. Not trying to force my way up, not trying to drive as fast as I could. When we drive too hard, and this is one of the challenges in the West, when we drive too hard, we pop. If instead we realize success, whatever that means to us, and that's a very dangerous loaded word, but success is right in front of us, if not here in this moment. If only I lean into it instead of trying to push the stone uphill, it appears. I like to say that we are just 1 degree off. One simple, tiny little degree from exactly where we want to be. Tiny little shifts on that AM or FM dial of old school before digital. Tiny little shifts bring in the station or completely block it out. I can't believe there's like less than 1% of cars sold today have clutches and a stick anymore. Well, in the old school days, when you had to drive with a clutch and a stick, what you learned very quickly is if you let out that clutch even 1% too early, or push it in 1% too early, or move the stick 1% too early, you will stall, buck, or grind the gears on that car. One tiny little degree off. If instead you get that timing in sync, and it's actually back in the 50s, I know because I had bought a car from back in that time period. They had synchro shifting, I think they called it in the early years. I had like a 62 MGB. Oh, I love that thing. But it was missing a sync in the second gear. And so you are synchro in the second gear. You had to time it just right, or you would grind those gears and you would cry. That's often how we're living our lives. What does this mean? It means if we step back and we say, what am I really good at? What do I like to do? Is it in alignment with where I'm at? Or could these skills and gift be better used someplace else? Maybe today with COVID-19, you can't get that job. Maybe you can. But maybe you can look at things from an outside perspective. Really, as I like to say, snow globe your life. Look at all areas of your life and say, wow, I'm really, really good at this. But instead, I'm doing this other thing over here. But maybe I can make just a little shift and I'm in my sweet spot. I encourage you. That's what we're doing in this mini masterclass starting Wednesday. And I'll tell you more about that later. I encourage you to look for the sweet spot, the intersection of your talents, of your gifts, of your expertise, and what is needed. Are you using your highest skills and gifts, or are you trying to make a square peg fit in a round hole? This society has a lot of good going for it, even though right now it's looking a little rough around the edges. One of the things that we don't do very well is teach our kids, and therefore have been taught ourselves, to try to get in greatest sync for a lifetime, to try to find the sweet spot. Instead, we're told to focus at becoming better at everything, which really means becoming an expert at none, or work on your weakness, which really means you're dumbing down your talent. I'm going to challenge you to do just the reverse. To use this COVID-19 time, which I am looking as a global amplifier and a global pause button. Also, one heck of an accelerator coming up. We are going into that, what do they call it? Atomic? Is it a linear accelerator? I'm not getting the term right. A particle accelerator maybe is closer to it. We are going into that accelerator. What do we want to bring in there? But to use this time to say, hey, am I in that alignment? What can I do to get more in alignment? Or even, maybe even especially, you know, what I would really groove on most is X, Y, or Z. For myself, for instance, I'm going to put myself back to school this summer to learn more about mediumship, to learn more about channeling, to learn more about connecting on the other side. That's what I groove on. It comes out when I speak with you. It comes out in my automatic writing. It comes out in my coaching. But I'd like some formal training to make that an expertise of mine. So you can use this time to go back to school metaphorically or literally, to unwrap the gifts that are found around your heart and say, how and where do I want to step forward to fully embody my gifts? What do I mean embody my gifts? I mean, whatever came to you wrapped around your heart, whatever excites you, whatever interests you, whatever you're good at, and they usually go hand in hand, has nothing to do with you. What do you mean about that? Well, you didn't come into this world and say, generally speaking, I choose to be the best at XYZ, though you can work to get there. I choose to like chocolate or vanilla ice cream. I choose to like skating instead of baseball. Did both. Baseball, not so good at. Skating, really good at. Did I choose that? No. I chose which I like to do more, but where did that like come from? Your likes and your gifts did not come from you, which means they're holy, they're divine. We don't want to squash them down and get serious and get realistic. Look what happened here. We've got half of the population out of a job. Look where serious and look where buckling down got all of us. Instead, if we use this time and say, Where do I want to rocket moving forward? This is the 1 degree shift. We often know what we would love to do in an ideal world. Let's make it happen. See, here's the interesting thing. My guess is the gift that you have would be awesome for helping to serve others. What does my skating have as a gift for helping to serve others? Well, it's a great tool. It's a great metaphor for my teaching. It helps me to relax for my teaching. My teaching is also another gift. So look at what are the things that light you up. Now, maybe it is running. We wrote barefoot running. We wrote barefoot walking. One of the things we've talked about is pre-COVID, maybe post-COVID, is having retreats with hikers, maybe with runners, taking people different places around the world, exploring ancient sites, being with mystical teachers, and having the most spiritual experience together while participating in our gifts. You might be saying, well, that's unrealistic. I couldn't do this, meaning you couldn't do this. We all can do this. We all are challenged to do this because the old way doesn't work anymore. So we don't have to know the answers overnight, but let's start to explore and see where those shifts can be. Then as we start to come out of this, it's sort of like, I don't know if you've ever had a shamanic ceremony or if you've ever done an ayahuasca journey or anything of the sort. When you meet with the medicine man or you meet with the shaman, they ask, what is your intention? What do you want out of this experience? Life is a ceremony. Life is a spiritual experience. We get to determine now and anchor in. Another thing we're going to be working on in our masterclass, we get to anchor in what we want now in this COVID-19 ceremony, so that as we come out of ceremony, and this is actually very much like an ayahuasca ceremony, because if you've ever done ayahuasca, it's about as recreational as driving a truck over your foot and parking it there. It feels horrific. You think you might die. You think you might have made the worst mistake in the world. You might have blown your field, blown your gasket, blown your mind, and you'll never come back. And this was the worst decision you ever made as you're busy hurling, purging, or whatever. And then you come out the other side. You find peace. There's a lot of work to integrate, but you go, whoa. I don't want to go back to the old way. In fact, I couldn't, no matter how much I try. That's where we're at today. Now, I'm going to open it up to questions here very quickly, but coming back to the butterfly effect, you don't need to make massive change overnight. In fact, I would encourage you not to. In fact, if a coaching client came to me and they say, I've got the greatest idea in the world, I want to drop my job tomorrow and go after it. I can't actually think of a single such situation where that has turned out well for the long run. If instead they say, I have the greatest idea in the world, I know where I want to go, I'm going to take my time with it. I'm going to ground into it. I'm going to ground into my beingness. I'm going to step back from this and look at different angles, not from an intellect, but from a heart point of view. Then I'm going to put a few pieces, just a few basic pieces in place before I step forward. Then I'm going, woohoo! That's the butterfly effect. In fact, the put a few pieces in place. That's a big piece we're going to be doing in this mini masterclass. Put a few pieces in place means I'm going to ground myself into the journey and take one small step forward and then the next and then the next, something I call baby steps. And when you baby step your way into your greatest future, you can't help but succeed. And if you instead leap forward, you might actually find yourself diving off of the diving board before you realize there's no water in the tank. So with that said, I'm going to open it up to some questions here. I'm going to check in with Jessica. She's probably going to say, tell more about the mini masterclass, but I'm going to massage her shoulder.
You read my mind.
I read your mind?
Mm-hmm.
And actually,
yes.
I think I...
Tell us more about the mini masterclass.
Oh my God. I'm so excited. First off, it's Wednesday. What's that mean? We're going to actually have a midday class, depending on where you are in the world. This is our first class that people from Europe are going to be able to attend without it being in the middle of the night. Woohoo! How does it get any better than this? Which means most people from Europe aren't actually listening to this right now, but hopefully, we love you guys. We'll catch the replay. It's going to be 4 Wednesdays in a row. It's going to be 10 a.m. Eastern,
2 p.m.
2 p.m. Eastern time, 11 a.m. Pacific time. It is going to be 7 p.m. UK time. It is going to be 8 p.m. Western Europe time. And for those of you in Eastern Asia, like Japan, it will be 3 a.m. and Australia might be somewhere close to that as well. I don't know if that'll be 1 or 2 a.m. 4 Wednesdays in a row, high-level class, much smaller than our boot camps because there's going to be a lot more personal interaction where we come together and we do just what we're talking about tonight. We help you discover your gifts. We help you build some routine. We help you so that you feel more grounded and rooted during this time. I can't speak to that enough. This, to me, I can't help but seeing this time as a gift, even though I am as blown away and bothered by whatever I would read in the news, which is why I'm choosing not to read the news right now. Negative, worthless stimulation. I'm extremely bothered by how it's hurting people. I'm extremely bothered by particularly not just people being hurt with their jobs, but the demographics of this. This is like the opposite of what we need for equality in the world, at least on the surface. But wow, are some really positive gains going to come out of this. But we do need to root down in. You can't see my hands. I keep going root down in. And so in the masterclass, we're going to help get you grounded. We're going to help give you the routine to move forward. We're going to give you that step-by-step process. We're going to help you dive in. We've got a group who's coming together. If you've ever done a mini masterclass, a masterclass, or a mastermind, you know that there is a very special power of the group to help bring about your intention. You can feel it during group meditations as well, something we're going to do at the end here tonight as well. That group energy is palpable and helps create great shifts. So that'll be this Wednesday, next Wednesday, the following Wednesday, and one more Wednesday after that. Anything else that you wanted me to add? If not, we'll open it up to questions.
Well, I put the coupon code LifeSave50 in the chat room. It's also in the description. So make sure you use that to save $50.
Woohoo! How does it get any better than this? How does it get any better than this? All right, I have my wheels next to me. I just want to play with them now because I just got in this new setup and I actually have to really baby step my way in, which I think I'm actually at this point better than you. We were talking about this earlier tonight. You tend to go in full throttle on things.
It depends what.
So business, you're really good about being exceptionally methodical. But if I was to put you out there on skates and you hadn't been on skates in a while, if I was to put you out there on a trail running and you hadn't been running for a while, you're just too in love with life.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
No, I mean, I just have to check in and see if it's true or not. But I'm even thinking about some of the business decisions I've made where I didn't go slow. Like when we started the boot camps, I think it was like 2 weeks from idea to launch.
11 days, my love, 11 days.
So,
I know, because as someone who would choose to go a little bit, I'm a risk taker. I'm all about going for it, but I like to anchor in just a little bit first. And I'm like, holy smokes, like 0 to 100 overnight.
Yeah.
But it worked great. And sometimes you need that.
You know, I felt moved. I felt like this energy propelling me to do that. So.
And that's a key point while we're talking about here about a butterfly effect, about small changes making massive gains. We get to surf the energy of which we're presented. So for instance, if you feel this incredible urge to write a book and you start writing a book and then you step away from it for a few weeks or a month, oh, could you have a tough time getting back into it, because that wave of energy that was propelling you forward may have actually just moved in front of you, and now you're trying to surf the backside of the wave. That can be very difficult.
But to actually get the book done, you could just be writing a few pages every morning, little baby steps.
A little secret, my love.
Yes.
I got version 4 of the automatic writing experience started this morning, and I'm halfway through our intro chapter.
No wonder you're so happy today.
I am halfway through it. And that was chipping away at it, not worrying about perfection. And once you get moving into it, oh, you're going to tower over me.
Well, Edward suggested I raise my chair. I think that's a good height.
So Edward, torso-wise, she is actually taller than me. So from legs, I am actually on a stack of pillows to try to be approximately the same height as her right now. I'm 5'10". I'm not short. She's 5'6.5".
5'6".
I'm going to give you that
on
half.
My better days.
All right.
No, I've never been 5'6.5".
Okay, but
I'm not sure I can get there.
But torso-wise.
Where were we? Okay, so I had a couple more questions actually.
All right.
You're talking about making small changes.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know when you're ready to make the next small change?
I think there are 2 processes you can use. One, either you have a timeline and you do your best relatively to stick to it, just to make sure that that plan isn't a very aggressive one. Or 2, you know it's time to go for that next piece because you feel actually uncomfortable. That discomfort is actually there to serve us. We can call it creative angst. You've seen me run around sometimes going, I feel so, I'm like, angry's not the right word. I don't know what is the right word. That energy is guidance from the universe to propel us forward. So it really requires a checking in. I like that latter approach. Is it latter versus the former versus the latter? I like the later one of checking in with the body and seeing what that energy has to tell me, rather than just following something according to a strict timeline. However, if you have a big team involved, it is a lot less chaotic for the whole team if you get things down in writing first and do your best to stick to them. Time and a place. Like for us, for classes, it's much better if we have them on a calendar. In fact, I dream of the day we have a calendar on our website with all of the classes laid out for months.
Yes.
It would be cool.
We have a question from Q.
All right, Q, and welcome. I feel like it's been forever since I've spoken to you, Q.
What is a spectacular and easy to do state change? Because with so many people stuck at home for so long, they are in what we call a habitual state, created from the anxiety and news and worries.
Love.
No.
All I do is throw a monkey in the wheel. Get a small pause in there. That alone, love, can be a change. Ears?
What? They have ears too.
Yes. Can be a change. Cue one of your favorites. Gluing a smile to your face for a few minutes tricks your brain, tricks your neurotransmitters, can be a positive change. Throwing yourself outside for a walk, which gets your energy going, can be a powerful state change. The most important thing to me is that you have some sort of a disruptor agent to get you out of your constant way of thinking. So that could be, how do we switch onto a different tracks? How do we immediately stop the track that we're on? How do we get ourselves out of our current circumstances or that dwelling? Literally taking yourself out of your, it's interesting, it's called a dwelling. Taking yourself out of a dwelling. In our case, we have a beautiful driveway right in front of us. Throwing ourselves in the driveway, throwing ourselves in the backyard. You've been throwing yourself under the tree. which sounds not under the bus,
I know.
under the tree. Tell us about the tree.
It's got cherry blossoms.
It does.
And so it's got like hundreds of bees swarming, and I love listening to the sounds of the bees. And then there are, hundreds of hummingbirds coming and going, and birds chirping, and there's all these different levels of sounds.
And what does that do for your state?
Oh, it totally calms me.
And so you could put yourself under a tree, hug a tree. Heck, you could get a recording just of bees buzzing. And that is a hum of the universe, and that alone can change your state. Forgive me, everybody, for the loud sounds.
We have a couple more questions.
All right, sounds great. And get your questions and how this is going to work tonight. We started a little bit late, so we're going to keep it going for a little while, unless the questions end, in which case we're going to jump right into a meditation. So if you want us to keep going, feed us with those questions.
From Daniel, I would like to be stronger in not allowing external events to impact action steps. Sometimes inner intention or action can be impacted by external universal disorder as you attempt to up-level.
So Daniel, a few thoughts come to mind. First off, how much can we anchor in some sort of routine to give you strength there? Secondly, I don't know why I'm going to say this, Daniel, but how much can we work on your physical strength? When Jessica was coming back from mold toxicity, the biggest change that took place in her life was getting her back in the gym and getting her strong. We can do it at home at this time. There's lots of home equipment that you can use, but sometimes fully embodying yourself and being strong and courageous in your body can actually have an outer manifestation in your results and in keeping you from swaying with the wind.
Cool. Our next question is from Edward. What is your butterfly story?
My butterfly story. I don't know which story that would be. I'm going back to times where, like Pyramid Rock, when we had a butterfly or two land on me.
It landed on your shoulder.
It did.
And then it like hung out there as we hiked. That
was really cool. We've had butterflies follow along with us on our healing journey.
You had the butterfly as your logo for your former business.
My former business was the Creative Learning Institute, and the butterfly was my logo because it represented transformation. It represented going into the cocoon and transforming. An interesting thing, Edward, that I wasn't even fully aware of and just recently is, and it is my favorite metaphor of going into the cocoon. And when you come out, I call it butterfly training school, that you have grown your wings. But when the caterpillar goes into the cocoon, it sounds kind of, I have no other way to put it, gross. Enzymes come out and it digests itself from the outside in until there are only certain cells, like there's a group of cells that'll become the eyes, there's a group of cells that'll become the brain, and so forth. But that butterfly, my guess is, or caterpillar at that point, has no idea what's going on. And if it doesn't really go to sleep, and I'm guessing it does, it would be a really freaky experience. And you can't help a caterpillar out early, because if you do, it will die, because it has to grow strong. It has to embody its new body before it's ready to fly. It has to go from that liquid, chaotic stage back to solid. That's where we're at right now. We are in this chaotic stage, but objects are not as they appear to be. Just because we're filled with chaos at this time does not mean at all that we are not heading in a beautiful, transformative direction. In fact, I would argue that we are. I would argue that those things which piss us off the most in the news, that negative, worthless stimulation, are actually here to serve us the most. All of the inequities, all of the inequalities, all of the challenges, all of the unfairness, all of the instability, all of the manipulation, everything that's going on, I think, is to bring this stuff up to the surface so it can be healed, so we can move past it, so we can grow together, and so we can go up to that upper room.
I had no idea. I mean, I must have learned it in grade school, but I forgot that the butterfly is eating itself.
I forgot this too, but I remember my 7th grade science teacher. I had I'll get the word wrong probably, tomato horned caterpillar, something like that. I can't remember it. It was 2 or 3 inches long. And I know my fish gets bigger continuously, but it was the biggest caterpillar I've ever seen. It was about 1 inch in circumference. And my science teacher had never seen one either. And so we put it in an aquarium. It put itself into a cocoon, and it put itself there for the better part of a term, at which point it hadn't come out yet. And so the science teacher assumed that it was dead and cut it open and killed it.
Oh.
Which really, 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 really saddened me, because I didn't get to see what would come out, what beautiful butterfly would have come out of that, because he had rushed the process and it was still in that embryonic, it's still in that fluid state.
Why did you tell that story? Anyway, from Angel Hovik, what can you do to strengthen your automatic writing experience?
So, Angel, there's so many different questions or pieces of automatic writing. When somebody says that they're struggling with automatic writing, or that they're in automatic writing, if you're not familiar, we have automaticwriting.com. It is a process where you can speak with your inner wisdom. It requires some interesting things. First off, typically it requires getting up early when the world is quiet, or conversely late at night when the world is quiet, because if the world is up and going, we can dive into automatic writing, but what we hear is the worries, thoughts, and concerns as others that come through as a to-do list for ourselves. We get chop wood, carry water answers. So I want to encourage you to look at the time of the day. I want you to encourage you to go back to basics. Are you doing your meditation beforehand? Are you doing your prayers to step you down into this ritualistic state, sort of like Alice going into Wonderland? Are you using theta brain entrainment music to do this? These are some of the basics that I would go back to. And then if you're writing, is it a matter of writing in a different location, trying a different journal, or even going to typing as well? There is a little bit of an alchemy, so I would try all of these different pieces. And I wondered if you had something that you were going to add. You looked like you, no, okay.
No, just that if you're in the automatic writing program, we've got the monthly live calls, and the next one should be up in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Cool. And we have an automatic writing Facebook group as well that we can brainstorm together and really dive deep into this.
Michelle writes, I have been dealing with on and off nausea for no obvious reason. Any insights on why? So,
Michelle, if it's a medical concern, I have actually no experience in being able to diagnose, treat, or anything of the sort there. If it is, and the spiritual and the medical really are one, but from I almost want to say from a chaos theory perspective, it is very easy to feel spun or nauseous during this time. I am often finding myself feeling off balance during this time, and that can be the collective field of all of us. While it's such an interesting time, one of my coaching clients is an emergency room doc, and he says the emergency rooms are empty, not specifically because nobody's getting sick, but because everybody is afraid of going in. But if this becomes a serious concern, I do want you to get it checked out, because there are so many substantial reasons from, I don't want to scare you, but it could be diet related. It could be having had.
She says, I don't feel it's a medical thing.
Okay. If you don't feel it's a medical thing, I tend to feel it comes from being spun by others during this time. Let's go to EFT tapping. Let's make a diet for you, Michelle, of how much can we do to detune your nervous system. Going to EFT tapping, getting you sitting under a tree, laying down on the grass. Oh my God, get a grounding mat or grounding sheet if you don't have one. We might be able to come up with a link there for you, but get yourself plugged into the earth and start putting back in place all of the practices that you've known how to do, Michelle, but haven't been doing. In other words, turn your home into a Zen zone. Get more space in your living room. more clear counters, more space in your bedroom. If you don't do so, make your bed first thing in the morning. The more that we can turn your home, get sounds of water flowing, or get a little fountain in there, or get a fake fountain sound going on Alexa, but turn your home into a yoga studio sanctuary can make a massive difference, because unless you are maybe the Dalai Lama, our outer environment actually matters. And if your outer environment is chaotic and ready to throw up, what can we do to make our immediate environment calmer? Then, of course, I am an angel guy. Always go to the archangels, like say Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Gabriel. What is going on here? Why am I feeling nauseous? Can you help me to feel better? The angels are always there. They're just waiting for you to ask. Can you help me feel better now in this moment? And can you help me to see the one or two most important things I get to do right now to help this nausea to go away for good? Send you lots of love, Michelle.
Have you ever personally experienced that before?
Mainly spinning rather than nausea. And particularly as we started into COVID, I was getting that a lot. In fact, I was telling you out on the hikes, I'm dizzy, I'm dizzy, I'm dizzy. And a lot of it was plugging into the field. As I've grounded more, that has gone away. And I've noticed the difference in spinniness is how I describe it. And this week and last versus previous weeks. So it depends on the emotions going on in your town, in your county, in your state, and then how do we ground in from that?
And you probably covered this. I'm sorry I was in the chat room, but did you talk about how people can tell if it's their own emotions or if it's somebody else's or if it's the mass consciousness?
That's a brilliant question. For myself, I like to either go quiet and still and ask of my body. I would actually go into my nauseousness, lean into my nauseousness, amplify my nauseousness, and start to talk with it. Why are you here? How are you here to teach me? Is this mine? You can also, of course, do it in automatic writing, which is what I do. When I get this spinniness, I would ask, is this mine? Mine. And the first thing I got actually is your glasses aren't working for you anymore. You need a slightly different prescription. And so I went to a different pair of glasses. You've seen that recently. That resolved a lot of it. But then I found that there was a big component coming from the field. And I was encouraged to get off of the gas more. That if I put my foot on the throttle right now, it was just adding to the combustion of all of the energy around me and making me feel sick. If I backed off, which has been the #1 requirement of automatic writing right now, is Michael, relax more, breathe more, ground more. If I do that, that spinniness went away. I didn't know there was an earthing blanket, but I guess there could be earthing everything. You go, Marie Rose.
It looks like we might head into meditation early tonight.
So last call to get your questions up. If not, we are going to dive into a meditation early. May I ask you a question? And I love that Q's pointing out magnesium. We think magnesium is a cure-all for everything. We would agree with this. What's been on your mind, or is there anything that you want to share as far as learning during this time period?
I'm just enjoying the quiet time. I'm enjoying reading more, playing with my oracle cards, journaling, just diving inward and asking questions.
Kitty cat time. Yes.
Well, Love Bug had a cold, actually, for the first time that she's been with us. We've had Love Bug is one of our kitty cats. We've got 3.
She's our youngest.
She's what? going on 4.
I think going on 4. I was trying to do the math recently.
And she had her first cold, and I tend to panic when something's wrong with. So when something's ailing the kitty cat.
There's a reason. We have a history, so it's not an uncalled for, if you can say that, an uncalled for panic. But you did well.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's some lessons there.
You tucked her in. You got her what you could. You breathed into it. You probably went to a state of prayer. You probably asked on some level if everything was going to be all right. And if not, I was.
And the funny thing is, I had allergies like for a couple of weeks now. And if you've been watching the YouTube lives or you've been in the boot camps, you've noticed that I've often sneezed, or I've like gone off camera to go blow my nose or something. And as soon as Lovebug got her cold, my sneezing backed off. And
I went, aha, I see something here.
And I'm like, Lovebug, you don't have to do this for me. And then yesterday we had a session with a medical medium.
Julie Fry, is it? Julie
Ryan.
Thank you.
Julie Ryan at askjulieryan.com.
Yeah.
And she discovered that there were still remnants of mold in my body from a few years ago. And she did some work to start clearing that. And as soon as the clearing was over, well, a few hours passed, Lovebug was napping. When she finally woke up, it was like she'd gone back to being completely normal.
Even supercharged.
Yes. And today she's super hyper and
scaring the other kids.
Back to terrorizing our other cat.
So, lesson. What's the lesson?
The lesson in
any of this?
Well, if you have pets, they're really interconnected with you. So not saying that if your pet's sick, it's your fault, because they've got their own lessons to go through too. But it's a good opportunity to take a look at yourself and see if there's a connection.
In this case, I think there was a huge direct
yes.
neon sign connection going on. Which is good that we got under control. And I think it's actually, I know it doesn't sound that way, but to me, it's really exciting that we have a little more clarity on the mold situation so that we can dive into that. But again, dive in slowly. This doesn't require a massive change, a massive shift. Tiny little habitual changes, I think, would make the biggest difference. I'm seeing several questions. I think Q said, Jessica, my question is a little bit up.
Oh, okay. I believe there's a call tonight in chat for people to know how to go inward and delete and clear the emotions that are creating their difficulties in their bodies through stress, maybe EFT.
So we could do, instead of I'm down with that. We could do, instead of a group intention meditation tonight, we could do a little tapping session. I think that could be kind of fun and wrap things up with a tapping session.
Up to you.
We've got the time to do that. So Q, we'll take you up on that. So that would be, I believe there's a call tonight in chat for people to know how to clear their emotions or create difficulties for bodies through stress. So what we'll do is we'll answer another question or two, because I saw a couple came in, and then we'll do some tapping and teach you how to clear some of these emotions. Alexi, L-lysine, we did get the L-lysine tabs. We actually sent me out to the store. I got the tablets for the Lovebug with social distancing, with the mask on, came home, gave it to the other kitties, which are like, woohoo, gave it to the Lovebug. She wouldn't eat it, broke it open in the pieces like you recommend, Alexi. She ate it, she barked.
But we actually had some other supplement that had a lysine mixed into it. So
she is getting that now in the powder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is that what you meant, or did I cut you off?
Well, no, but it's okay. It's not an animal show.
All right. What's the next question here? And I might send one of us off to get lighting in a minute. Or maybe there wasn't.
No, there
was. What did Lynn ask?
Okay. You two look vibrant, healthy, and beautiful. Do you have any words of wisdom for someone sort of afraid of ageism in the job and dating market?
Actually, instead of ignoring the ageism, I would actually lean into it. I would actually bring that to the forefront. If you're going to a job, for instance, now it's an interesting time where we may have to get past AI. We may have to get past virtual screenings, which is completely unfair today, to be honest. But if we can get past that, let's lean into the age difference. Let's lean into that experience. Lean into it with all that you are worth. In the dating market, I would do the same. Instead of trying to hide it on a profile or something, bring it up to the forefront. What you resist persists. What you bring in becomes your fuel, or in this case, your perfume. So I would own your age. I would own your beauty. I would own your experience. I would own, if it's silver hair, own it. Own it, own it, own it. Own everything about your age. Rock it.
From Daniel, could just be coincidence, but I'm burping a lot. Is that because of your high frequencies?
That's an interesting question, Daniel. If I am doing clearing work, there are people that start to burp a lot. I don't know. I have had a few people on our boot camps talk about hiccuping, but I don't know if it's because of that energy or not. That is a great question, Daniel, that I don't have the exact answer to. I know if we're clearing, you start burping a lot. Yes, yes, yes.
Francine asks, Jessica, did she clear all the mold? How do you know? And was it all done energetically?
I'm going to get the light.
She said that, so she clears things on an energetic level. And depending on your spirit and what your spirit wants you to learn in this lifetime, it could take hours, it could take days, it could take weeks, months, or years to actually complete its process. How do you know? Well, I actually didn't know that I still had remnants of mold. And this isn't why we had this session with her. It was just the first thing that came up.
We knew that you're very sensitive. You have a tickly nose. We know that you're quite sneezy, but we never associated that with mold.
Well, I think, so my philosophy, my belief on, I've had allergies ever since I moved to Colorado. And I've read in different places that allergies are actually a sign that your immune system isn't at 100%. Doesn't mean you're like sick. It's just, if your immune system was topped off, you wouldn't have allergies. So I was curious, why wasn't my immune system topped off? What's keeping it from being like 90-some% instead of 100%? And I'm thinking it's just the leftover mold. So how will I know? Well, I'm not sneezing tonight. I haven't sneezed at all, and I didn't sneeze last night. So I think
that's progress. We got a tiny bit of sneezing, I think, when we went out for a little car ride earlier today, but that stopped within a minute or two. You did have a bunch of yawning on the way back, but but I don't think that's the allergies.
No. So
I think it's actually been a big shift in the fact that she did the energetic clearing on you, and all of a sudden the love bug goes meow meow. Would that be inaccurate?
Yeah, yeah. So if you have pets, they could reflect back to you.
Absolutely.
And yes, it was all done energetically and remotely.
It was pretty cool.
Okay, I'm scrolling now because Francine says, that's so fascinating. I would love to work with a medical medium. How do you know who to choose? Julie Ryan was recommended by Dr. Christian Northrup. So we often go by referrals.
And there's also a follow the energy. Who comes up, when comes up, why comes up. And so when the timing is there and you go, I was thinking of a medical medium, and somebody all of a sudden comes to mind, like a Julie Ryan. Or we had the most beautiful interview with Dr. Christian Northrup, and I wanted Jessica to speak with her for just a few minutes at the end of it. And Dr. Christian Northrup says, you guys need to get in touch with Julie Ryan right away. And I thought it was for a completely different purpose. So I'm like, okay. I just followed that energy, pulled on that golden string. And the next thing you know, she goes, all right, I'm going to do a scan. Tell me about mold.
Yeah, actually, she's like, when did you first get exposed to mold? And I was like, what? Why is this? I was like, no, I thought I was done with that.
Which means immediately you go, whoa, she's the real deal. She's the real deal, which was very, very cool.
Kim Cat asks, how did you all meet?
How do we do the express version of that?
I don't know. We don't have an express version.
All right. Do you guys really want to know? I think they do. All right.
A lot of them know already.
Okay. So what's the express version? You came back to Colorado. I was busy at a meditation center.
Colorado.
Okay. You take it, girl, then.
I left the cult. It's another story.
She's not kidding, though. She is not kidding. Left the cult.
Which I didn't realize was a cult until years later. Anyway. I'm
just going to drop the cult bomb, and then we're going to move on from there. That was a really good start.
Good hook.
There's a book in there.
Anyway, so I arrive in Boulder, and I've been there 2 weeks, and I'm from being in the cult. I was actually really used to meditating twice daily with others, and I was looking for a new spiritual community. And I had a friend who used to live in Boulder, and he said, you should go check out the Boulder Shambhala Center. And so one afternoon, I took my bicycle and rode a couple miles and got there. And I walked upstairs to the third floor to this massive meditation room. And anyway, I take off my shoes and okay, this is not the express version. Sorry.
The numbers are going up. Keep going. You're doing good. People are into it.
Okay, I'm looking through the doorway, and there's this dude sitting in lotus position in cycling clothes with this long ponytail, scraggly.
Oh, I love that ponytail.
And I think to myself, oh, that's so Boulder, like athlete hippie. And I didn't, I wasn't really, I didn't think that was a bad thing. I was just like, the mind creates labels. Okay. He goes into that box. And then
Boulder hippie athlete label. Little grungy, yes. Little.
So I walked
the stay away label.
Maybe. I walked clear across to the other side of the room, even though it's like empty except for Michael and one other person. And I sit down and I meditate.
And I'm sitting as far away apparently from her as I can be. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't even tell who or what she is. But I open up my eyes after meditating, and I'm like, there she is. There's the one. Hopefully it's a she. There she is. But I had 100% confidence that she was the one I was meant to marry, right there like that. Which, so I seem really extroverted here. I seem really comfortable in my zone on the mic. I was so shy and so concerned. You've all heard me talk about, if you've heard me at all, talk about my insecurity of messing things up. And so I was afraid that I would mess things up with my one true love, who I hadn't even met yet. And so what did I do? I waited for her to leave. so I wouldn't have to say anything. But then I got out into, I call it a changing room. It's not that, but you put on your shoes, you grab your belongings, and you head out. And she had her bicycle helmet, and I had my bicycle helmet. And
so I'm holding my helmet. He points at my helmet. Then he points at his own helmet. And then I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, like, I didn't say that out loud, but he bows and then he runs.
God, it sounds so weaselly. It sounds so bad. But I figured if this was meant to be, it's going to be no matter what happens, and I didn't want to mess it up. Isn't that that's really a paradox within itself right there. If it's meant to be, I don't want to mess it up. That alone, parse that line. If it's meant to be, I don't want to mess it up. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But I ran. And so fast forward to the next day, and
well, of course, I'm going to go to the morning sit because that's what I'm used to.
Oh, and you also went silent after I left.
I did because I thought we weren't allowed to speak.
And so the next morning.
Yeah, so I sit.
Yeah, and I'd been sitting in meditation, and I sensed that she was in the room. I, as far as I knew, was the only person who would go to meditation twice a day at the Shambhala Center, let alone every day at the Shambhala Center. But I was going twice a day every day because a month earlier, I had heard that you need to stop being out in the woods, so to speak, and to go find a meditation group. And so instead of meditating on my own, metaphorically more or less out in the woods, though I was doing some Wilderland meditations, I had found the Shambhala group, and I was told that I will find a community and I will find potentially a special someone. And so I was sitting there every day, twice a day, not trying to find anybody, but just doing what I was told to do and what felt good to me. And I sensed her in the room. I opened my eyes. I'm like, oh, crap, she's here. I'm going to have to speak with her. And instead of meditating, I'm now going, what am I going to say? 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 And then the meditation ends. Ding, the bell goes off. She goes out to that changing room again. And I immediately go into chicken mode. I'm not going to speak with her. Never done it that way before. But I thought I could wait and you would leave and I wouldn't have to say anything.
And wait, so we were both in the changing room?
No, I waited. I thought you would have left by the time I came out to the changing room, but you were still there. You were moving slowly, right?
Right. Well, I didn't know you were there.
Basically.
You're messing up the story.
I'm not messing up the story.
I didn't see you until I was on the first floor.
Yes.
Close to the exit.
Yes.
Okay, so you watched me put on my shoes.
I don't know.
Gather my things.
I don't know. All I know is I dragged my feet as long as I could.
Okay.
That's all I remember. I dragged my feet as long as I could, hoping that I wouldn't run into you because I didn't know what I was going to say.
Okay, so there are actually a lot of people at the morning sit. Mm-hmm. I mean, compared to the afternoon sit, and I'm waiting for somebody to actually look at me and acknowledge my existence. But everybody's in their own little cliques talking to each other, and nobody greets me or even looks at me. It's like I'm invisible. And I'm not the type of person to like interrupt a group of people who are talking that I've never met before. So I would do off-site networking events. But anyway, I'm on the first floor. I'm reading some bulletin boards. I thought everyone had left by then. I'm trying to figure out what this whole place is about. And then I see somebody walking down the hall, and he's actually making eye contact. This is the first person who is actually acknowledging the fact that I am a physical being standing in front of them. And so I got really excited, and he got closer, and I was like, hi.
I said hi back. And we started talking and talking.
And then we were outside of the building because they had to lock up. And then he started talking to the crows. So
I'd say I have a special relationship with the animals. We all have a special relationship with the animals once we embody it. And in fact, I have video of, we have to figure out how to put that up. I have video now of a squirrel, actually multiple squirrels sitting in your lap at once this morning. which is really, really cool.
Yeah, there are 3 different species of animals in my lap.
At the same time. And I have it on camera and I have it on video. And so we have to find a way to share that. You could even grab the phone and we could actually try showing it to them.
Okay.
So the ravens were speaking to me, or the crows were speaking to me, and they were saying, she's the one, she's the one. And I'm going, I know, except that I had actually said, I know, out loud.
Is it this camera?
Yep.
Okay, I'm still looking.
Okay. And so I spoke to the birds and said, I know. And what did you think?
I thought that was peculiar because I wasn't that far down the rabbit hole yet.
We've lost her. We have to show the squirrel before she can finish the story.
Which
apparently.
one? There's so many.
I know. We'll go to the video. Do you want video? Whoa, geez. You finish the story. I'll get everybody to the squirrels.
Okay. So I didn't want to date him, and for 3 weeks I kept saying we're just friends, and I had actually started what is it called? Not MySpace. One of those dating sites.
You were on Match.com, and you actually showed me the people you were going to date.
Yes, because I didn't want to lead him on. I was very clear that I was exploring. He's a endurance athlete. He's very persistent, and he wore me down.
Wow, that sounds romantic. You submitted and married me. You go, I can't take it anymore.
Get away from this guy.
You win.
No, there were lots of signs and synchronicities.
Lots and lots of signs and synchronicities.
But, now I wonder, like, maybe your life was like that all the time, even before I came into it.
To this day, the word that I use begins with the C-O-N. When I ask, did you fall in love or choose to marry me? And you would say,
oh, well, I think I chose before we incarnated.
But you would say you were conscripted.
By myself.
Okay, all right.
By my higher self.
Okay. All right. Anything else to share on that story?
I don't think so.
All right. Let's show the so everybody can see.
Okay, so I'm wearing Michael's jacket. And I'm trying to stay very, very still.
Sorry for the jiggly hand here, everybody.
So we've got, what we call the full-size squirrel with stuffed cheeks. And then the little one there is a chipmunk. And the medium-sized one you saw earlier is a golden mantle squirrel.
And so we do this each morning now as we go sit outside and our meditation, the more still you can be, and still of mind, not just still of body, but the more still of mind you can be, the more that the squirrels, the chipmunks, and what I call the skippies, the golden mantle squirrels. So the skippies, the chippies, there's a skippy standing. The more they feel safe, and Skippy is trying to decide if it's safe to be on Jessica's lap, the more comfortable they feel climbing up on you. And so your meditation is to empty your mind as much as you possibly can and get into a place of stillness or into a place of love. The more that the animals will feel safe and trust that it is okay to come into your lap, as clearly they felt very, very safe with Jessica here.
The little animals are actually scared of the big squirrel. And that's why it stopped. That's why they're hesitating or just watching.
Yeah. There's a definite pecking order, which goes from the squirrels down to the skippies, down to the chippies. All right. Anything else we want to share before we go into a EFT tapping session?
I wouldn't say I'm like Snow White or Dr. Doolittle. It does help that I've got food in my hands. I don't think Snow White or or Dr. Dolittle needed to.
Well, I'm thinking now of that story which you read and that I didn't, about a Russian woman, begins with an A, who was out in the middle of the woods and all the animals would come to her.
Anastasia.
Anastasia. And I wonder if she cultivated that relationship like we did over time, or if they would just come follow her with the kumbaya.
No, I think I think her whole tribe was like that.
Where the animals just were not that good.
Yeah. Just like how they're supposedly tribes where they're all like wooden-cloth. They don't need any clothes in the winter.
Yeah. There are supposed to be tribes like that in northern Russia still.
Right.
Cool. All right. So let's go into a tapping session, which Q recommended here. So what EFT tapping, in the briefest form, I'm going to try to whip through this quickly, is a clearing process to help you short out what I'm going to put in quotes are negative emotions. They're not really negative, but they're energy that we don't know how to handle, that can be overpowering to us unless we know how to work with it. And so what EFT tapping does is allows us to put a positive statement along with a negative statement, along with hitting different acupressure points on the body, and help to short out this overwhelming energy that tends to come across as fear, as worry, as anxiety, certainly could come across as nausea, and many other ways. Could come across as a flippy floppy belly. It could come across as a soreness in a knee, a foot, a leg, a shoulder. All of this is stuck energy that we can help short out or get moving again. And so we're going to do a very, very brief tapping session. And I'm not sure if you're squirming because there's something that you wanted to add.
Well, there's an interesting question from Lynn. Would you two ever consider a reality show without letting it ruin your lives? I don't know that it's possible to have a reality show without ruining your life.
So I've thought about this recently. And here is the challenge, is that by definition, a reality show involves turmoil, strife, struggle.
And if it doesn't, then they edit it so it makes it seem like.
Yeah. So while we have relationship challenges, no more than anybody else. In fact, I just came up with this idea yesterday. I said it's time for us to write a relationship book. And you didn't actually turn. You're laughing now. Maybe that says everything right there.
Yes, laughter is the key to a successful relationship.
I thought you were laughing at the hilarity of the idea.
Yes, that too.
So maybe now is not the time to write that book.
Give it another decade.
We were on book tour our first year or something, year and a half together. And on book tour, she used to say, we're engaged to be married after this tour is over. If things go well. And I think early on you would say, it's not looking very good.
Nobody laughed.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
I thought it was funny.
With that said, I think a reality show is going to look for strife and drama. Now, we have strife and drama with all of the jugglings that we get to do and the learnings and the growth, but not specifically, I hope, mainly about the relationship. And so I'm not sure if TV or Netflix is ready for that. But maybe that's a limiting belief.
Upper Spiral says maybe the world has changed enough after COVID-19 that they're ready for a Yes.
Besides, if it ever came to, and we're talking metaphorically speaking, I lose. Just done deal, end of story. I'm wrong. Sooner or later, I'm going to come around to this. I know it. I'm sorry. I'm just going to apologize for the next bonehead move or two that I'm going to do. You're right. I'm wrong. It was my fault.
Okay, I want that down in writing. And I want to get.
Well, you've got witnesses.
I know, but
a recording.
I don't know how I'm going to find these witnesses.
So at hour 14, you can look at who is in the chat room here. This can be your witness.
No, I want one of those, like, those official seals of approval.
Oh, wow.
What do you call that? I can't think of it.
Seal of approval?
No, you go to the bank.
Notarized.
Yes, notarized.
Okay.
Okay. I thought I saw another. Oh, how about stand-up comedy? Mike was listening to stand-up comedy in the car.
I was.
Are you training?
I just think that some of them are so bold and have an ability. So Steve Martin, way back when, he had the ability to go, what is the stupidest, silliest, most wrong thing I can do on stage? And people are still going to laugh about it. And because of the air that he presented himself with, people laughed. Uh-oh. Nothing. I'm a little concerned where you're going. So that's one of the reasons that I'm enjoying it. Other than that, is laughter therapy right now is the greatest thing in the world.
I don't think we're that funny because look at the numbers.
The numbers are on a precipitous decline. We're
plummeting.
We're down at least a good 20% from when we started our story. So we are scaring people away left and right.
They didn't like the animal show.
They left during the animals?
They did.
You're kidding. Mm-hmm. So one of these days we have to find a way to we need to get an external camera and turn the camera around so that people can watch the hummingbird show. Because right now we have Hummingbird Olympics going on behind us for another day.
Okay.
All right. Should we go back into tapping?
Yes.
All right. As fast as we can. Tapping. 8 different acupressure points. You don't have to remember this. I'm going to guide you through. 8 or 9, depending on which teacher you use. The sole of your hand, karate chop point. I like to use about 3 fingers on here. Tap, tap, tap. Up and between the eyes. Just to the outside of the eyes. Center beneath the eyes. Center beneath the nose. Center of the chin. Chest about an inch apart for where your collarbones come together. So up good and high. We're not doing it down low. Up nice and high. And either wings 2 to 3 inches below your armpits, which I prefer. Or some people like Nick Ortner and his sister Jessica Ortner. The top of the head. There are some EFT experts out there as well. Top of the head as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with a positive statement. Well, we're just going to use I love myself fully and completely. And then we're going to come up with a negative statement. Even though, and I'm not sure if I want to go have a long discussion on this one. Do you remember what Q put? If not, I'm wondering if it should be, even though I'm feeling spun by the energy of the world all around me. What do you feel? You're a good judge, Gage.
What?
You were in the chat room, which is where you're supposed to be. Even though I feel spun. Oh, now I don't remember exactly what it was. Even though I feel spun and confused by the energy all around me.
I don't know that people feel confused.
Okay. Even though I feel spun and anxious, spun and at dis-ease.
I don't know, people. Tell us how you feel.
How do people feel? All right, we got the next 1 minute here to tell us how you feel and tell us what needs to be cleared more than anything else. If you were to think of everybody out there, what do you think needs to be cleared? Stressed, yes. Out of sorts, yes. Anger, okay. Anxious, uncertain. Spun and confused, uncertain. Fear, tired, stress. Money blocks, a little underlying sadness, anxious and uncertainty, fear. So we're getting stress and fear. Stress, fear, and anxiety seems to be an uncertainty at the very top. Tired, fatigue. We'll give it about 10 more seconds. All right. I love myself completely and fully. Usually I type this out. Bear with me as I write this out and see if we can combine at least 4 of these different things. Upward spiral, that's awesome. Where'd my notes go? Here we go. So why don't you tell everybody a story while I'm coming up with this? I love myself on the spot.
Let me think of the most embarrassing story.
Oh God. Fully and completely. Even though
we told that one last week.
Completely. Even though I feel anxious, confused.
Have we told a story about the scooter Pepe getting stolen?
That's a long story.
No, okay. I think we did tell it.
I think we did tell. Even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset.
Oh. We went hiking.
Anxious, confused.
So Michael and a dear friend of ours went hiking one late afternoon, close to evening. It was like around dusk, in this forest on Maui. And they started seeing orbs or spirits. And I think he took some photos.
Orbs. We got orbs on camera. Absolutely.
And Michael was so excited about it. He came back and he's like, we got to go back. And I'm like, I don't want to see ghosts. And somehow he convinces me to go back, not the same night, on another late afternoon, early evening. And we're hiking along, and we go further than where he and our friend had gone. And the trail starts going down, like switchbacks down a ravine. And at the bottom, it's still daylight. But by the time we get to the bottom, it's starting to get dark. And I'm like, we should get back now. I'm like starting to see faces in the rocks.
At which point I pulled out the camera.
And Michael's like, this is so cool. And I'm like, no, we should go. You know, like the hair it is starting to stand up.
I forgot about the faces in the rocks. I can see them clear as day now.
So we start making our way back up, but you know, it's slow going because we're going uphill. And it's getting darker and darker. And I start to hear this low vibration sound. And I'm like, is that like somebody doing landscaping? We're in the middle of a forest. How close are we to like someone's private property where they could be doing landscaping or like mowing the lawn? And so it became clear that that wasn't likely. And it starts getting louder and louder. And it's almost like static. Like what, I don't know if everyone remembers static on TV, but
I just thought it was like layers of, it almost sounded to me once I stepped back from it, like as if you had one person speaking at one frequency or even going woo at one frequency and another one at another frequency, like all of these people in different times for thousands of years.
Thousands of voices.
Yes.
At a very low pitch. And it was just getting louder and louder. And I'm like, at the beginning of the hike, Michael's still like taking his time, thinking this is really cool. And I'm like, God, sometimes
the male ego of wanting to go check out the train wreck while you're standing on the other set of tracks.
Thank you. I was going to say something sexist.
Oh!
Well, I often find myself in those situations when like some guy or like my guy friends would convince me. Well, I guess I'm stupid too for letting them convince me. So anyway, we finally make it out of the ravine, thankfully, because it's a little brighter when you're not in like in a crack.
Well, it was like a hole in the earth, a Hawaiian hole in the earth that went down in, and there was, you could see where the water had trickled into the limestone, and so we literally were in this indentation.
Yeah.
And I think the sound went silent finally. Upward Spiral is pretty freaked out right now. He was saying he was doing well and had his energy was up and he had no stress or anxiety until we told this story.
It wasn't Vinny. I don't know who that is.
So the long and short of it is we were okay. And the sounds all stopped once we got out of that, it was so night and day, the experience, that it was completely palpable. And we had a dear shaman friend of ours who's like, let's go back tomorrow, Michael. And Jessica's like, no, you will not be going back there ever.
No. So like my feeling was like, okay, these spirits don't know we're here right now, like trespassing on their land. I'd like to keep it that way. I don't want them to know we're here.
And like follow us back home, or I think they could have taken care of us there. But I don't think they meant us any harm. It felt like to me trapped spirits over millennia, that each one at sunset, if the word is conflagration, it was a coming together of them without even knowing that the others were there. They're all doing their own individual thing, but this time, it was time and space came together magically, or not horrifically, but spookily at sunset in this indent in the earth.
You might need to tap on this because.
All right. So what I had is, I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now, or about what happened with Jessica and Michael. No, you can scratch the last part, but we're going to go after anxious, confused, and upset. I know some of you said angry. Some of you said upset. So I'm going to go with that word upset. And what we're going to do is we are going to tap. So I know others are saying frustrated, but I think frustrated would fit in with the anxious, confused, and upset. We're going to do a round of tapping on this together. And then we are going to actually, I'm going to do a little energy transmission where we're going to tap on the positives, and I'm going to help bring you into a more positive state before we end things this evening. With that said, certainly give us a thumbs up if you like this, share it if you like it, come join us for our mini masterclass on Wednesday. And think right now, before we start, on a scale of 0 to 10, of how anxious, confused, and upset you feel about everything going on in the world right now, or how that makes you feel. So if I was to say, I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now, I would actually probably give it a 6 or 7 if I'm honest with myself. And when I go out, I would probably give it an 8 or a 9, because I don't know what's going on with social distancing, with not social distancing, with opening up, with not opening up, with what's really going on, what's not really going on, whether this is the truth, whether that is I'm completely bewildered by this whole thing as much as anybody else. I do teach on how to get grounded more, because I think the inner game is what's most important. The outer game is going to play itself out. So I'm very confident for the long run. But I'm going to give this probably maybe a 7 or an 8 for myself. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. So put down what number you get on this. Q is just holding space.
Marie Rose says, careful, Michael.
Careful, Michael. I am love, love, love. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way. All right. So if we ground into this, put a number down. What I'd like you to do is just breathe in and out very gently through the nose. And then I'm going to say a statement out loud right now. And then I would like you to repeat that statement with me. So I'm going to tap on a point, and we're going to say this statement. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. Keep on repeating it out loud with me as we go through the points. On to the second point, up in between the eyes. Doing great. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. Keep breathing in nice and deep through the nose, down to the belly. Go to the outside of the eyes and keep repeating along with me. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. Center beneath the eyes, you're doing great. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. Keep breathing deep, you're doing great. Center beneath the nose, I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. Center of the chin, keep repeating along with me, doing great. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. Center of the chest, I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. Wings 2 to 3 inches below your armpits, or if you prefer, on the top of your head. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. Last time, I love myself fully and completely, even though I feel anxious, confused, and upset about everything going on in the world right now. Breathe in through the nose, down to the belly, and out. And in, and out. How is everyone feeling now? I have a feeling we've hit Jello, Pookie. based on the energy I am feeling off of the group. Everybody has been jello-fied. And so now, I can tell everybody is just totally chill. Thank you, Marie Rose. So what we're going to do now is I want to tap on the positives. It's both an energetic transmission that I help bring forth to you, but also it's an energy shift that you can do for yourself anytime that you tap. In fact, truth be told, and you can tap every morning. It's something that I teach people. It's a way that you can help clear all of, you get up in the morning and you feel stuck, you feel a twisted gut, you feel whatever, you can bring it to tapping and help clear it. But then you always, in my opinion, you always want to end with a positive. And if you can't get yourself to tap, then just start by going after a positive. Yeah, Lynn, release of tears, that's detoxing. That's the good stuff. So awesome. So I'm going to do a tapping on the positive. I just want to check in real briefly with Jessica and see if there's anything last you want to mention, because we'll end after we tap on the positives here. We're good?
We're good.
All right. I feel so jello-fied myself. It just feels so good.
Oh, our next live is Tuesday.
Then you just scared my spirit right out of me. I don't hear. Did you hear the sound I just made? I love myself completely. All right. So yes, come join us for the live that I didn't even know we have on Tuesday. How does it get any better than this?
We have a live every Tuesday. There's not boot camp.
You're right. You're right. I like it. All right. Love you guys so much. Here we go. Are you ready? So follow along with me. We're going to move rather rapidly for this one. I am loved. I come from love. I'm surrounded by love. My life is filled with love. My world is filled with love. The entire world is filled with love. The world is here to support me. The angels are here to support me. Everything I see is for my highest good. Everything I see is for my highest good. Nothing is as it appears. Everything is better than it appears. Everything is here to support me. Everything is here for my highest good. Everything is here to help me to grow. Everything is here to expand my awareness. Everything is here to expand my consciousness. Everything is here to fill me with love. Everything is here to fill me with love. Everything is showing up just as it should to fill me with love. I am surrounded by love. I am filled with love. I have come from love. Love is my beingness. Love is my nature. Love is my energy. Love is my source. Love is my fuel. I am surrounded by love. I am filled up with love. I exude love. I am an ambassador of love. I am shining with love. I am shining with light. I am filling the entire world with my love. I am filling the entire world with my light. I am strong. I am powerful. I am safe. I am strong. I am powerful. I am safe. I am strong. I am powerful. I am safe. I am loved. I am love. I am light. I am light. I am free. I am free. I am free. Woohoo! Oh my. I'm buzzing. I hope, wow, I don't even have words. Big hugs. Big hugs. That's where I'm going to go. Forget about words. I'm just going to big hugs. I love you guys so, so much. I can feel the energy. I can feel everybody is buzzing now. You are the love. You are the light. You are the answer. You guys are the answer. I just want you to know that you guys are rock stars, and just share your love and light with the world. That is what you are here for. That is what you guys were meant to do. That is why you resonated with us tonight. If we all do this, if we all share our love and light with the world, if we all raise our energy just like we did tonight, even just a tiny little bit, then this shift will be easier, will be faster, will be even more beautiful than we ever, ever, ever could have imagined. This is your time. You're a rock star. You chose to embody at this time for a reason. Your higher self, your spirit on the other side said, I want you to be at just a certain age, at just certain awareness, at just certain awakeness of your consciousness for March, April, May of 2020, because we've got something special for you. You are light workers. You are light warriors. Your job, ultimately, at the end of the day, is to be you. Be your true, authentic self. And by doing that, serve and help others in whatever capacity that is. So I love you guys so, so much. And Jessica, Pookie, you outdid yourself tonight because you answered questions in the chat room. You answered questions of me. You shared stories. And I don't even know half of what you did, links and everything, all while being fully present. I don't know how you even slightly managed to do that.
Well, I wasn't really fully present while you were talking.
But you've learned how to tune me out.
Yeah.
All right. Love you guys so, so much. Thank you, Q. Thank you, Marie Rose. Thank you, everybody else who helped hold space here tonight. Love you guys. Love you guys. Love you guys so, 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 so much. The upward spiral, you just hit the nail on the head. This is Jessica's class. She is the ultimate leader, is the one who doesn't need to show that they are leading, but they're running the marionette from behind the scenes. So it might have to question which one is Johnny Carson and which one is Ed McMahon.
Well, how do you know Ed McMahon wasn't doing the...
You know, knowing what little I do of Johnny, Ed probably was the grounding kappa force on that show for sure. So, oh, thank you guys so, so much. We love you guys. What's that?
Daniel said, hopefully won't be recommending a family lawyer next time.
What? Oh, gosh. Any last words? I'm going to let you have the last words. I can't seem to click. I love you guys so, so much. I don't even want to hit the button. I got to hit the button.
Join us for the Recreate Your Life mini masterclass.
Do you want to put the link down one more time?
Yeah, sure.
All right. That's where we're going to have 4 weeks of this goodness at a very, very high and beautiful level. So come join us for that. The link is going up here now. And then keep shining bright. And we will see you on Tuesday. Looked like you had one last thing to say. It was an inhalation. Okay. Love you guys. Shine bright. Sleep well. It didn't end. It brought us back.